Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet Earth, whether it be subterranean, extraplanetary. If you're coming at us from Neptune, maybe it's Uranus. Welcome back to Ancient Mysteries Unearthed. I am your co-host, Brandon James Sim. This is Chris Noble. Chris, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, Brandon. Thanks so much for the extraterrestrial cosmic inner Earth introduction, as always.
Yes, yes, yes. So today we have a really fun show for you guys. We seem to be doing kind of that X-Files kind of programming where we seem to have a monster of the week style show pop up every once in a while. And it's I'm a big nerd. When I was a kid, I thought I lived by a lake and I thought that I found a piece of uh it was a piece of like a bulrush or something, the one of the roots washed up, and I thought it was the body of a serpent. So ever since then, I have been 100% locked in things like Nessie and things like that. They just really spark my curiosity. So, Chris, you wanted to talk about some stuff today. What's on your mind?
Well, lake monsters, Brandon, lake monsters. I didn't grow up by a lake. Actually, I did. I guess I grew up in downtown Toronto, which is by Lake Ontario, but it's a city, so you don't think about lake monsters. Except my dad showed me that classic famous photo of the Loch Ness monster, and it was even in, I believe, we had these encyclopedias when I was a kid, and you could actually look up the Loch Ness monster in this encyclopedia. And even though the photo is, everyone remembers that classic black and white photo of the neck and a little bit of the body coming out of the water. And of course, who knows if the resolution is so low and it's just a black and white shadowy image. But even that was enough to spark my curiosity as well. And I truly believe that there are so many creatures we still have yet to discover on this planet. So I love taking the opportunity in this show to investigate and look into these. We've obviously done many episodes already on giants. We'll continue to do more. We did a couple on Bigfoot, and let's go into the waters today. And um, primarily, we'll be focusing on lakes and lake monsters. But I think a couple of the videos that we're going to show you folks today, we actually have quite a lot of video footage. There's obviously lots on the web, on the internet. I sifted through some, so did Brandon, and we found the ones that were the most compelling for us. And we'll show you guys those today, and we'll talk about them because there's, like anything, this is a complex subject. There's so many different creatures that these beings could be. They're probably not just one race and we'd say monster because we don't know what it is, so we can't categorize it. And I think, Brandon, you mentioned this in another episode where in the past things like a panda bear was considered a monster because we didn't know what a panda bear was until we obviously figured that out, and now it's common knowledge. So, same with the gorillas and other species like that. So today we're going to go through some videos, and I know, Brandon, this is a real interest of yours. So much like we did in the Bigfoot episodes, I'm going to hand over some of the maybe the folklore. I would love to hear what you've heard throughout your life, Brandon, with your research, and what where do these creatures come from? What's the story? I know, us being from Canada, there's a lot of the folklore with the First Nations people of our country here that have had, oh my god, they have so many stories of lake monsters. I know where I live, where I sometimes am living these days in British Columbia, there's these petroglyphs I believe you can find on Vancouver Island that depict some kind of a sea creature that is not known to us right now. And this petroglyph was dated to at least sort of 5,000, 6,000 years old. So this is not new. And what are we dealing with lake monsters?
Yeah, so as a screenwriter and storyteller, I always want to know like where does the base knowledge for all this come from? And you know, the Kraken, you look at old maps and stuff, there's always these pictures of serpentine creatures living in the oceans, and there's stories of them living in lakes as well. So there seems to be two primary body types. So one is serpentine, so like a giant snake, and the other one is basically a long-necked dinosaur type. So we're looking at plesiosaur style. If anyone's played Pokemon, looks like a Lapras or a plesiosaur, if you know your dinosaurs. So as a kid, I was enthralled with the Loch Ness monster, and that, we all know that shape, that dinosaur shape. Um, and I so badly wanted to go to Scotland. And then I had a book, a bathroom book, where I do most of my reading, uh, show up, and yeah, it talked about Igopogo, and I was like, "Who is Igopogo?" And it was saying the not so famous Canadian lake monster Igopogo in Lake Simcoe, which is one of the largest lakes in Ontario. And when I say in Ontario, the Great Lakes are actually not considered in Ontario because we split the border between America. So it's a fully locked lake just north of Toronto, with prominent cities of like Barrie and Orillia on there, even Beaverton on the other side. And yeah, so a serpentine like creature, very, very cool. So yeah, so as you can see here, these are perfect examples here. Yes, perfect. So we're seeing the Igopogo of Lake Simcoe. Yeah, so they're just giving these are kind of stock footage. There's a picture of a couple people out there looking out. That's a classic photo. That's the one, Chris. Yes, and that was taken oh God, many
Looks
moons
old.
ago. It is very old.
For those listening, I mean, we're looking at a couple of black shaped bumps coming up that would look like a wavy sort of serpent body coming through the water. But this photo looks like it's at least from the 60s or something like that.
Yeah, so back then, Lake Simcoe is more of a cottage destination. It's a little more developed now. But once again, they talked about, the body being about the size of a barrel, one of the old barrels that you would have seen more and more in recent times. And oftentimes they depict them as having the head of a horse, which is an interesting one. A lot of the
Hmm.
First Nations stories do depict these creatures, and a lot of the times they'll even say certain river monsters and stuff have almost a reptilian body mixed with a cat. So
Wow.
yeah, which is like, we think, oh, that's how could that be? Cat, lizard, this is getting out of hand. But there's things like catfish that, we do have certain creatures that resemble this stuff. So my leading theory on a lot of these are that we're either a little too confident with how much we know about our ecosystems, and often I think that is a folly of man, is that we think that we're the dominant keeper of the land, when in fact
Yep.
what we're really good at doing is screwing it up and not understanding exactly what we're doing. We're finding that now with our microplastics and a lot of pharmaceuticals in the water and things
Not
like
as
that.
advanced as we think we are. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And the other thing too is that clearly animals are very good at eluding us. So I mean, just think of rats in the city. They are maybe the dominant species, really.
Or raccoons for that matter.
Right. In Toronto, definitely raccoons. So
Yeah.
imagine, if you will, the depth of Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and think of the name of Lake Erie.
Yeah.
It's got its name for a reason, and there's lots of stories of in Lake Ontario. There's a Lake Ontario monster as well that people have reported seeing, serpentine, and these even go back to the 1800s. Um, and then Canada's most famous creature would be Ogopogo
Of course.
from Lake Okanagan in BC, and that one has so much lore that the First Nations were even weary of crossing the lakes at certain times of the year. They wanted to appease it by offering it sacrifices,
Yep.
and of course the the Europeans would come over and they wouldn't believe them, and then they would have their own sightings and think, "What's going on?"
And
So
something to just to think about with it, we say sacrifices, and I immediately start to think of, maybe like the sort of the end days of the Aztec and the Mayans, where they were, making human sacrifices. It sounds very well. It is barbaric, of course, and they had their reasons, but it's sacrificing other beings seems a little sometimes sometimes it's hard to understand the logic behind the sacrifices, but with what they're doing for this monster, it's a very practical type of thing when you're making sacrifices. If it's a big hungry monster and you don't want it to eat you, you give it something else to eat. I mean, that's not it's not the most crazy thing if this monster indeed exists. And to just move in because I think we're gonna have to make this a two-part series already. We're 10 minutes in, and
my
we got
goodness,
lots
too
of videos
much.
to show you guys. And I wanted to pull up, as Brandon mentioned, the west coast of Canada. We do have a video here that I believe it's this one here. Oh
Yeah,
no,
there's
this is
been a
in
couple that
there's
have
this
recently
one's
surfaced.
yeah, this one's actually sorry from Dryden, Ontario, Canada. And I'm gonna play it for you guys.
Oh, from Dryden.
Yeah, and listen to so
Hmm.
this is a person kayaking. For those listening, we'll play it through once and then we'll explain what's going on. But you're going to hear the person's reaction, and they're scared. They're absolutely scared of this situation. So let's just take a look, and then we'll digest the footage afterwards. So as per usual, I don't know if I got the. I'm gonna stop sharing and make sure I got the audio going again. But this is a lot. Like if you guys want to take this on and research, there's especially with this type of topic with lake monsters, there's a lot more on camera, especially in the last couple of years. Lots has come out. So let's take a look at this one from Ontario, Canada.
What the fuck, man? Just stay still. What the fuck? Oh my god. Oh. Like that's making a big wave. What the fuck is that? I don't know. It's really big though. Look at the wave. Oh, I'm getting scared.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Here. Turn back, okay?
It's going. It's going. It's going away. Holy fuck. Oh, I see shit like this on videos. I never thought.
Oh, we can see it turn a little bit there. Okay. So I'm going to mute this and I'm going to replay it again and describe for the listening audience here. What we're seeing now, it's not so dramatic. We have other footage that we're going to show you. You can really see a body and whatnot coming up, but there's no motorboats around. So what we're seeing are these wakes through the water and what looks like a wavy body of some kind moving through the water. And it's creating like it's creating a wake and just like a boat would, but there's no boat anywhere. And these people are on a kayak. And towards the end of the video, I could actually see, I'm going to skip ahead around here. I could see around this area, like it's turning. You can see the sort of serpent body turning and making a right hand turn, and like this, the rest of its body making that C shape, the letter C shape in the water as it moves, and then the wake kind of moves with that. So I thought that was really interesting. And to be honest, it's the fear in her voice that gets me.
Yeah, so I
Right?
was gonna just say, so Dryden, Ontario is on a lake called Webagoon Lake. It's a massive lake. We're not talking the size of the Great Lakes, but it is huge. Like, if you guys don't know, if you're not from Canada, you're not from Ontario. Ontario is we have so many lakes. We almost have more lakes than the rest of the world combined, and our lakes are huge. We just have lakes that it would be like that. Webagoon Lake would be one of the biggest lakes in given any other country.
Yeah.
This how big it is. So the fear in this girl's voice, as an actor, I got to say, this is
Yeah.
not Daniel Day-Lewis or Meryl Streep going for a paddle here. This person is terrified.
Mm.
And once again, we were talking about this in our Bigfoot videos. A lot of these people, when you hear the true fear in their voice, this is what, as an actor, this is where we're trying to get to emulate, and with a lot of process and preparing, and then to try and mimic this and hoax this kind of thing. Something is in that water. Something is in that water.
Yeah.
So, and it's
Yeah.
scaring them. I wonder, Chris, if a lot of these lakes are actually connected.
Yep.
If we're finding out, and science is starting to catch up on this, with the idea that that graph where you have the world and they show a little bit of crust, and then it goes like
Yep.
orange and yellow and red, and like that's the world.
Hmm.
We're starting to figure out that's not the case. That there's probably oceans, massive aquifers under the crust, probably caverns.
Well, and we know this. We know this when I was in Mexico just a month ago. We know this with all of the cenotes, which are again most of these underground in cave, typically areas where there's fresh water like a lake, but it's small and it's a cenote, and they're all and everyone knows this. They're all connected underwater. People could do scuba diving tours where you're going through the tunnels into different cenotes, and they're all connected. Of course, the Mayans knew this too, and that's why they built accordingly, because there's other reasons. You can draw energy from water, moving water, and all these other things. But why wouldn't these creatures also understand this obviously ancient system of it's a highway, it's an underground highway for them to travel.
And Canada too, as much as we are a developed country, really, once you get north of the
Oh,
Greater Toronto
yeah.
area, I mean,
It's not much going on.
we've logged, but it's growing back. And realistically, it gets pretty wild.
Yeah.
Being an outdoor enthusiast as I am, it's pretty easy to get into some deep bush. I only need to drive anywhere from 2 to 8 hours out of Toronto, and I'm remote, where if I break a leg, no one's coming to get me. So,
No, and there's another piece of so we have some other footage where you're going to see I want to pull up one actually right now where you're going to see more of a body, and this is going to go into the same kind of direction of this serpent-like creature, and you're going to see a lot more of this. And I want to get your take on this, Brandon. What you think about this particular monster? Not that one. We'll get to that one. That's a really compelling one too. But this one here, I think this is in
oh,
Alaska.
drone footage.
Yeah,
Interesting.
no, it's not drone. It looks like drone footage. It's in Alaska. I think it's somebody actually filming from like a bridge or something. But let's take a look at this one.
Recorded by the Bureau of Land Management, a government agency. This long, snake-like creature was filmed swimming in the Chena River in Fairbanks, Alaska, back in 2016. The video went viral and landed itself on many news broadcasts across the country, sparking a large amount of discussion about what the creature could possibly be. Some say that this is a gigantic sheefish, which is a member of the whitefish family native to Alaska. Others claim that it is simply a large piece of rope that has accumulated ice on top of it.
No, definitely not.
Others still say that it is a giant serpent or unidentified aquatic monster.
So I
The
remember when
debate
this
still
came
rings
out.
on the
Yeah.
Yeah, the leading theory is that it is just an ice flow,
That
swimming,
that's
swimming,
hilarious.
swimming through the water. Um, Clearly, I mean, look at the
Look at
tail.
that. Yeah, like it's
Uh,
so clearly swimming.
yeah, so a lot of, you get the skeptical scientist on there, and they're the authority, and their theory is the only one that counts. And they were like, it's just ice in the current.
Hmm.
And, I mean, it could be, but oh my God, is that a phenomenon then that this ice is, why wouldn't it be breaking apart and swirling if it's in the current? Because it really looks like a tail. Just look at that backstroke on the end. Like,
Right? Exactly. Like you can
I would
almost see the
believe
fin at the end or something.
I would believe that would be a massive sturgeon or catfish before I believe that's ice. And look, it comes
Exactly.
up at the end almost for a breath. So, very interesting stuff. Yeah.
So I want to move forward. I want to get your take. We got lots. This is the cool thing about this topic. I'm going to go a little off. I just found this one, and it's not a serpent. I don't know what this one is.
Mhm.
So I just want to show it to you, and let's see after they break for commercial, of course.
Oh,
Here,
nice. I've seen this one. Yeah, it's like a big gunship.
yeah, it's like,
Is this an
yeah,
ad?
yes,
Yeah,
it's an
brought to you
ad.
by this new video game coming out.
Here we go. Okay,
Wow, wow,
okay.
wow.
So check this shape out. So for those listening, I'm not going to have any audio on this one.
Hmm.
This looks like a doesn't even look like a creature. This looks like a device or an ancient
Mm-hmm.
looking relic,
Mm-hmm.
circular in its shape with a connecting line between the two. With it looks like tentacle, almost uniform symmetrical tentacle shapes
Does
coming
it
out.
move at all?
Well, we'll
Does it
find it. We'll watch
change its
this.
shape?
Watch this. It's going to change its shape soon, and it just doesn't make any sense to me what this thing is doing. And so it's
And who's
underwater.
filming this?
This is an underwater submarine type of device.
No.
Look
Oh.
at this. Now it's changing shape. It just went into a blob, and now look at it. Now
Oh, so it's an octopi.
it's an octopi for sure.
Yeah, it's like a
And look at
squid, man. These things are
and
crazy.
look at the lights inside of it. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bioluminescence for sure
Mm-hmm.
inside of this creature's what looks like its sort of main
Mm-hmm.
abdomen.
Wow.
Not abdomen. Look at this thing.
Now,
It's
how did
just
it create? It was mimicking probably a shape it saw,
exactly.
and look at it go.
It can shape shift. I mean,
It's
look,
wizardry, really.
it's wizardry. Exactly. Like we're
It's
deep
just
underwater here. These are machines deep underwater that are filming this thing,
wow.
and this shape is just pretty mind blowing. And then
Okay, what was that?
yeah, okay, so we got to check out this one too. So this next one is like, look at this huge shape coming out of this lake here. This is in Ireland, okay,
Hmm.
and they're
Yeah, well,
actually
a
look
lot
at
of
this thing,
that's the thing about
Loch
the
Ness.
oceans, right? And the oceans are just like this thing is that's trucking along too.
Yeah, yeah,
Is there audio for this one?
yeah. Let's dial back a
Yeah, are
second
these guys
here.
like screaming?
Our list, we're returning to form with what would be considered a classic sighting of
narration.
a sea monster, or in this case, a lake monster.
Yeah, never mind. It's narration. So they're not
Anyways.
what I did hear from the narration though in this video is that they were actually filming a program like a TV show of some kind.
Mm,
You'll see one of the guys in the boat right here in the foreground holding the fishing rod. He's dressed up. He's got like a dress shirt and this like it looks a little out of place because they're doing a film. They're doing some
hmm.
sort of filming, and then all of a sudden they see this creature, and they of
Right.
course
And of course that's who's going to capture it because they have cameras rolling. So,
exactly.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, so this is obviously some indie film or some TV program where he's out having his like midlife crisis.
Yep.
And then sure enough, they're like,
And then look at like
what's
just
that?
let's just look at this shape. Like this is at the beginning of the video
That's a
here.
big head. If
That's a
that's a head,
big
it's big.
head.
Whatever that is, it's big. If it's a hump, it's big. If it's a head, it's big.
Big look at that thing. What the hell is that? That's this big chunky head bump. I, I can't describe it very well. I'm sorry for
Well,
the listening audience here. I don't know what's
so there was a fish that was thought to be extinct, right? Uh, uh, the name escapes me. We'll post a link to it. And it was caught off the coast of Africa, and it's an ancient fish,
hmm,
and they have them in zoos now. And this was a relic. This was a prehistoric animal that ceased to be exist. So, you know, we're gonna do a proper one on relic dinosaurs,
yeah,
because
that's coming up soon.
it's another topic that pops up. But the idea basically is that a lot of our lore referring to dragons, that the term dragon and the term dinosaur are actually interchangeable because dinosaur wasn't coined until the 1800s, the
Yep.
later 1800s. So if back in the day, if you saw a serpent or something that was out of place from another time, Jurassic Park style, you would call it a dragon.
Yep.
So what seeing a head that big, if you were a fisherman and say Viking fisherman in the 1300s, you would say I saw a water dragon, or a sea serpent. So
Yep.
that's what we're looking at here, and I don't think it's too beyond the realm of possibility that if there were animals to escape our theory, and let's be honest here, we are piecing together the world. We assume that there was a mass extinction event, and we know that there was, but crocodiles and turtles still exist, and they existed back then, although they have changed and perhaps shrunk in size. Perhaps that might be the same with some deep sea dwelling creatures, especially like we were theorizing before. If there are underwater tunnels and aquifers that they belong to, they would certainly be more immune to a mass extinction event on the surface.
100%. And we got to look at the lore like you mentioned, Brandon. Like it's all over the world. I'm going to quickly share my screen and just show you some quick little Google searches of Chinese dragon. And the Chinese dragon looks extremely serpent-like. There's other types, of course, but this one you see all over China, and it's that long serpentine type of body with the scales typical of the what we would imagine a dragon would be. And you see these types of monuments and sculptures depicting this all over the place. You see it outside of China, of course, as well. But what were these necessarily flying dragons, or were these
Well,
dragons in the water?
interestingly enough, too, the Chinese dragon, I find the head isn't always what we would think a dragon's head would look like.
Definitely not.
Sometimes I wonder if it's a little more towards what they would say is like a horse-shaped head.
And you see
Um,
whiskers on some of them too. Huge
mhm,
whiskers.
mhm. So, especially when a lot of these people, if you're lucky, you're seeing it from a distance, because I don't think you want to see one of these things, especially a reptile. They're not going to have pity on you, I don't think. I don't think they're eating bulrushes. So, yeah, very interesting stuff there, Chris. You got any other videos lined up for us?
Yes, I do. So there's this one from a really great YouTube channel that I do enjoy called Night God 333. And one day I'd like to get him on the show because he gets his followers. And this is what I love about our listening and viewing audience here is that we can really share a lot of this information together. And what he does on his channel is he gets a lot of his audience that message him and send him pretty compelling footage or stories, firsthand experiences and stuff that he'll share. And this is a video that he is sharing. I'm going to pull it up here. I don't know where this is, and it looks like it could even be the ocean. So we might be moving out of lakes for a moment. But this is a someone filming on TikTok their dog swimming, and then something happens. Now, FYI, the dog's okay because that for me, I'm a big animal
Trigger
lover, and
warning.
yeah, it's all good. The dog's okay, but
Okay, that's good.
yeah, the dog's fine. So, but some crazy stuff goes on here. So let's just play it. I believe with sound because there's no narration. You can just experience what this is, what's going on here. So here we go. Oh wait, did I put sound? Yeah, sound's on.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Flip! Oh my gosh. Flip, come!
Okay.
The dog is okay. Don't worry. The dog's
Oh my
okay.
Flip, come!
What we're seeing here, folks, for those of you listening, is basically, and I'm gonna play it again in slow motion with no
That
sound.
first frame of it coming out, though, I don't know. It almost looks CGI,
It could be, and this
but
is
maybe
where
it's just happening so fast that it looks unnatural. I'm not sure.
this is it slowed down.
Right. So, oh, well, and just look at the disruption. It's certainly serpentine, and it.
I know from a CGI standpoint, like the way it's moving around like that, that's really
Mhm,
tough. That's really tough to
mhm,
mimic.
mhm. Well, watching it in
Um,
slow motion is certainly better because it happens so quick.
and see
It's like
that,
it
like you can,
flinches. It's almost like the dog scares it, or it's yeah. And
it startles it. You can see it feels like it's been startled, and
well,
this is close to the shore, folks. For those of you that are
yeah, and
listening,
why wouldn't they? That's where most of the food is.
yeah, no,
So looking at that too, just looking at the amount of surface area and the way it goes, it almost is as if it's coiled up or has that serpentine style shape to it. When
hmm
it splashes, it writhes.
yes, exactly,
Isn't that interesting? Wow.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there, folks, and it's
I've
curious.
I've seen that TikToker before. He's a nice guy.
I like them.
You should
Yeah,
get him on the show. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and
I
and,
will.
and to our
He's
viewers too. To our viewers, it's not if but when we start inviting you. So do engage with us. Send us some of your footage or materials or even stories, and we'd love to have you on the show. So I'm not gonna bite. Come on.
yeah,
Come on.
unless you want me to. No,
It's hard to
um,
do through Zoom anyways.
exactly. We got a safety barrier here. No, we'd love to see it. And that's really the name of the game, guys, is that's how we can all, figure this stuff out together. Could this be CGI? Sure. Anything's possible. 100%. And I, both Brandon and myself come from a film world. Myself, even more specifically, come from, post-production and production background. And I know how the animation works. I know how the VFX on films work to a decent enough degree to know that anything is possible. And we
That would
can
cost
fake
some
anything.
money. That's if you're
Yeah, because
making
it's not
I
just
don't know what the
yeah.
TikTok view income is. I don't have TikTok, but it's certainly it's that would be beyond my comprehension of people who I would be willing to pay to make a video like that. And if I did, unless I had some deep pockets, it probably wouldn't be that good. Just
Yeah,
saying.
I agree. And who knows, right? At the end of the day, it's hard to say, but we've also got one last video for you folks today. This is 2009. This is the one that Brandon, you sent me. This is filmed, yeah, in 2009. It seems about, how do you say this name? Cad
Caddy.
Borosaurus?
Yeah, so it's named after the bay where
Oh,
the
okay.
sightings are on Vancouver Island. So this is a
Ah,
sea serpent that yeah, that seems to keep popping up. Kind of there's a few other lore of things like this, but this is an area where they have this serpent-like creature that pops up. So Cadborosaurus is a made-up name by the community there.
oh, I got you. Makes
Yes,
sense.
and it's named after the bay in where they see it. So why don't you play the clip and we'll see what they're seeing here.
There's a whole family of these darn things.
Last year, he shot this video of what looks like a sea monster.
Okay, just keep watching. Now watch. Its head's gonna come out. Its head's gonna pop out. Check this out.
It's blue. So those aren't sea
So
lions.
people say these are
These are sea
seals.
lions.
That's
How
the number one criticism. It's a pack of seals swimming through the water.
Okay, so I live in when I'm not nomadic like I am this year. I live in Vancouver, and I usually go out to a place called Lions Bay. It's about 45 minutes outside the city, and we get a lot of seals coming over to us all year round. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's majestic, and I love it. Sometimes orcas even come close by. Just had a friend send me a video of an orca coming by, and I've seen packs of seals. They don't look like that. They do not look like that, and they don't when they come out of the water, like it's quite obviously not seals. I'll tell you, I can tell you what it's not. It's not seals in that video. What is it? I really don't know. I really don't know. And this one's a bit more shaky of video.
Well, they're
Um,
shooting from far away,
and they're
right?
shooting from
Clearly,
far
that's
away.
zoomed in as
Clearly,
much as they possibly can.
yeah. And look
That's
at
always
that.
the criticism with these kind of things. Like, well, why didn't they have professional Planet Earth style cinematography? Just so y'all know, Planet Earth, when you're watching that, they're shooting it with these amazing $1 million cameras, and then when you hear the goats and the lions and stuff sniffing around and walking through the woods, that's all post production. They're not recording that sound.
No, it's all
So
post. And actually, to take that even further, most of those things are staged.
oh yeah,
Not to take away from the realism of it, but they do a lot of like a lot of the insects and a lot of birds. They actually have sets in where they take these animals and bring them into a set. It's lit, and they have like a an organic environment, but it's a designed set. And then they have them film, and they literally like maneuver the bugs into the position. Like it is so staged. It's crazy. Not to even take away from it, it's beautiful what they do, but it's incredibly staged, meaning that
it's just filmmaking.
you
We're always
capturing.
lying to you.
We're
That's all
always
it is. We're just
make
lying all
believe,
the time.
make believe.
Nobody reads a book right here, but you do in film, right? Like you read the book right here.
Yeah,
We don't do that. You'll hold it down by your lap when you read a book. It just doesn't look
right.
good on camera. Like,
Yeah.
we're always lying. And a lot of those shows too, when they have sightings clean, precise, they're cheating in a zoo too. When you see, the wildebeest walking around, they might have some good footage, but they'll cut it with other footage from different animals at different times and
Oh,
tell you
100%.
like
They'll create their own
Cynthia,
narrative.
the water buffalo. This is Cynthia. So
And
is
it's
this one.
it's something to consider. So on the other side of these things, like when I was looking for some more lake monster footage, there was a lot that came up where it looked too perfect, and that's where I was like, no, I don't. This doesn't even feel real because it's too polished, and maybe that's my own prejudice getting in the way. But to me, when I'm looking at videos like, and there's a couple where the monster was so clearly visible and it looked good in terms of the CGI, but I could tell I'm like, this is even the way the camera was shaky. It looked like it was a forced shaky camera versus a natural, like you're seeing in the
You
last
see that
video
with
we showed.
a lot of Bigfoot ones too, and
Yeah, yeah, and so
it's
it's
always
staged, and that
when Bigfoot
happens.
just runs right out into a picnic area. You're like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what, Chris? We're gonna have to roll into another one because there's a lot of Ogopogo.
Okay.
And if y'all don't know who Ogopogo is, like I said, it's in Lake Okanagan in BC, and it's a very popular creature. They have statues for it in town. It's a fun little lore, although every once in a while people see footage, and there's a few that have just recently come about that are quite compelling. So we should look into that. We should take you to Lake Champlain for Champ. There's another great one there, and then we can discuss this more and more and more as we keep going. So yeah, I mean, I think we should go there next. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. I think that's a great
Yours?
idea. So that's my idea. No, I think it's a great idea, Brandon. So for those of you watching and listening, thanks for watching, and of course, make sure you subscribe. And also, like we've been saying throughout this, let us know what you think. Let us know if you think these are bogus videos or if there's legitimacy to them, and if you have other sightings, if you have other experiences, other footage, please, please, please send them over, and we will absolutely feature them in future episodes if we think they're, good to be showing you guys. And that's how we learn. That's how we grow together here on Ancient Mysteries Unearthed. And I think it's going to become more of a theme. But we're going to have to do these, several part series on these topics because there's so much to digest. We just touched on the idea of these underwater and underground pathways, underwater lakes, underwater oceans, underwater aquifers that connect to other large bodies of water, all underwater. And one of the really interesting things that brings up that we will have to discuss in another episode is there an entire other world inside the earth, the crust of the earth, potentially? Of course, this is where we get into the inner earth theories. And why wouldn't there be a completely different set of life forms down there? And what if some of those life forms occasionally come to the surface, like we might be seeing in some of these videos? Could it be that these large creatures can grow bigger and have maybe different minerals, different nutritional advantages from living in these very, very, very different environments within the earth, so they can grow to these incredible sizes, but then through accident, through on purpose, whatever the situation, they somehow can come through these cavities into the actual lakes that we know here on the surface. And then we have these sightings. What are we seeing? Potentially creatures that are not only living in the inner earth, but maybe they're also these what we think are dinosaurs, these species that existed a lot longer ago. And when the earth was much different, the atmosphere was much different on the earth, larger creatures could exist on the surface. Now they can't. What if some of them survived and continue to live under the surface, within the earth? So who knows?
So that idea of megafauna, megaflora existing, inside the earth. Jules Verne talks about it.
Yeah.
A lot of other cultures talk about giants like, the titans, the massive creatures of the world, the keepers of the world, living deep within our depths. This is not once again, it's not a foreign idea, which always gives credence to it for me. And maybe they're migrating, maybe they live much longer than we think.
Exactly.
And their gestation periods are longer, and birds migrate, salmon migrate. Bugs have weird things where they'll burrow under the earth and wake up 15 years later and then fly around and mate and then die. And then the babies will live, a couple years and then burrow under the ground and come up 15 years later and mate and die. So there are patterns that suggest this. So it's very interesting, and we should dive into that again. And we're going to come back again for a part 2 of our Lake Monster series and tantalize you all. So please do comment below. Let us know if you have other stories that you'd like us to feature, your own stories, your own footage, or any other things that interest you. Maybe you say that Chris is pretty. I don't know. You just comment below and we'll deal with it. So
we'll take it.
So we're going to say thank you so much for listening here. If you want to be a community member for Ancient Mysteries Unearthed, it's only 33 cents a day, not much money. It's going to keep Chris employed. He's going to make more content for you, and he's got a lot of great things coming up. So we'll bid you adieu. Chris, do you want to say anything to your lovely followers here?
Well, thanks, Brandon, again for every episode we do together here, my friends. It's always a pleasure. And for those of you watching and listening, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Ancient Mysteries Unearthed, and we really look forward to seeing you next time.